All right, today I want to share a trick that I use on myself when I actually apply it. That really helps get me refocused when I don't feel like focusing on my goals. I don't feel in the mood to do anything. It's just been a rough day for whatever reason. I wake up in a bad mood, whatever it is. I have a few different things that I do. Um, but this is one that seems like it always helps because it forces me to be grateful. And there's a lot of studies out there on being grateful and having gratitude and expressing gratitude, both for the things that you have and for the people that are around you. And that's what I want to focus on in today's video. I think I've shared a little bit about this previously, but I really felt like this was something that I needed to share again. So I want to talk to you a little bit about gratitude. Today I've kind of not been feeling great. I just have just been feeling off, a little bit more emotional than normal, a little bit more sad than normal, and it's kind of extended all day. I felt pretty good this morning, and then a few things happened, and it just seemed to knock me off. So, one of the things that I decided to do was take a few minutes to myself. A lot of times, when you don't take enough time for yourself, you do tend to be a little bit grumpier, a little bit more sensitive. It's harder to control your emotions. And so, usually, when I get that way, I'm naturally very introverted. And so, if I don't take time for myself in a quiet place, it can be 2 minutes, it can be, all day, whatever it is that I need at that moment. But one of the things that I decided I really wanted to do today was express gratitude. Many, many years ago, about 13, 14 years ago, I was really, really struggling. And uh, my mom recognized how much I was struggling, and she said, "Hey, you've got to express gratitude every day. You've got to get a journal, you got to get a gratitude journal, you've got to write down every single morning, first thing in the morning, 3 things that you're grateful for. They can't be the same as what you wrote down yesterday. You can't write the same thing down tomorrow. Like, you have to try to make as many different things that you're grateful for as possible." And at the time, I felt like I was as low as I could possibly get. And I was just really struggling at that time in my life. And recently, I've experienced some of the same things that have resurfaced that have really made it difficult to stay focused, to stay positive, and to stay running after the goals that I have in mind. It makes it hard to work sometimes. And we all have those moments in our life, right? We all get to a point where we get discouraged, we get depressed, we get anxious. We feel like our life is just falling apart. I certainly don't feel like my life is falling apart right now, but there have definitely been moments in my life that I have felt that way. And I know that there are so many of you out there that have also experienced these feelings where you wake up and you just don't want to get out of bed, or you get home from work and you just don't want to do anything. You don't want to eat, you don't want to sleep, you don't want to, watch TV, you don't want to read a book, you don't want to, do any of those things that you enjoy about your life. And sometimes it's just really difficult to be able to pull yourself out of those feelings. So today I just felt like it was really important for me to share this little trick to trick ourselves out of those feelings. And of course, this isn't going to work for everybody. Each one of us is so unique and so individual. Isn't that such a wonderful thing that we are so different and so unique? Well, this little trick that I have is to, write down those 3 things every day. Now, when I started doing it, I made the decision because I didn't even want to get out of bed, and I knew if I got out of bed, and then what's usually the first thing you do? You get a drink, or you go to the bathroom, you stumble into the kitchen, start your coffee, whatever it is that your habits are. I just knew that if I didn't do it right away, I was going to keep doing the same thing I had always done, which was not working for me. So I decided way back then that I was going to write those 3 things down before I even got out of bed, before my feet ever hit the floor. And I really feel like this is something that I need to get back in the habit of doing. But I would write down those 3 things that I was grateful for. It can be anything. Like, how many things do you have in your life that make your life convenient? You know, a blanket, a bed, the convenience of running water where you can walk to your kitchen, or, you know, get a bottle of water out of your pantry. Transportation, a bike, something beautiful to look at, maybe a picture, maybe a plant. You know, I live close to the mountains, and so I can look out my window and see the mountains. Your eyes, you know, the very gift of being able to see, the gift of being able to hear. I've worked with people that are blind. I've worked with people that are deaf. I've worked with people that are quadriplegic. I've worked with people that are paraplegic. You know, I've worked with people that don't know how to cook. I'm a pretty good cook. I know how to throw some food together and make it taste good. I mean, it's taken me, you know, 20 something years to be able to figure that out. You know, I haven't always been great at cooking. But how many things do you have around you? You know, a roof, a toothbrush, toothpaste. For me, I love having a shaver to be able to, you know, shave, you know, whatever it is, my armpits, my legs. What do you have that you're grateful for? You know, what do you have that maybe you don't feel like you maybe need to be grateful for, that it's just there, a part of your life that you just take for granted? Your hair, eyebrows, desserts, cookies, treats, vegetables, a door, a doorknob, mail, a phone, the internet. You know, there are so many things to be grateful for. And when I start talking about gratitude, it just always, you know, makes me feel like crying, because there are so many wonderful things for us to be grateful for. You know, I have teeth. I can eat food. I don't have to have processed food. These are all my teeth. You know, I don't have dentures. Pictures, a piano, what else? Tires, skills. Maybe you like to put together puzzles or sing. Like, there are so many things that we have around us. There are so many other places that I could live or could have been born into that, you know, don't have all of the blessings that I have because of where I live, you know, because of the family that I was born into. You know, not that I have anything great, like, you know, I wasn't born into wealth, but I had, you know, great parents that raised me. You know, no matter what the situation in my life is right now, no matter what the relationships are, I have so many incredible things to be grateful for. I want to show you one of them right now, something that has really taken me a little bit by surprise. I discovered this the other day. I'll show you this. Take a look at this plant. This plant has new growth on it. The flowers have dried up. They're dry. You may not be able to see it, but these flowers have dried in the vase with everything else around them. And I recognized this the other day. How beautiful they are. I have never in my life had a flower dry in a vase before. And one of the very special things about these flowers is these are the flowers that my daughter gave me for Mother's Day. She said this one looks like a dragon. I don't necessarily see the dragon, but she said this one looks like a dragon. Maybe you can see that. But one of the most special things about this is, I don't know if you can see that right in there, but there is literally new growth right here. This is all new. And this one down here. This one down here is also new. I've never seen that before. So we changed out the water, we put new water in the vase. And since doing that, these flowers have grown even more. These, not the flowers necessarily, but the green on them has grown even more. I've never seen anything like that, from a house, flowers that somebody bought for me, and I just saw those and they made me so grateful. And then today, her and I had a big disagreement, and I felt really bad about it because it was in front of my son. We make mistakes. We're not perfect, right? None of us is perfect. We all do things that we shouldn't do. We all say things that we shouldn't say. How many things do you do wrong in a day? I don't know. I don't want to count them out. I don't want to focus on that. But I mean, every single one of us do things that make others around us unhappy. And our job really is to just own that and to acknowledge that, we've hurt somebody. I feel like I've never gone wrong with expressing gratitude, though. Have you ever had somebody get angry at you because you've expressed gratitude? Maybe they don't feel, enough self-worth to be able to take advantage of that gratitude. Maybe they don't want to believe what you're saying because they don't feel that. And if that's you out there, if that's you that doesn't feel like you can accept a compliment, or when somebody says thank you or says a nice thing to you about you, just smile and say thank you, because they see something so wonderful in you that you do not even see. And I've had to remind myself about that. And when we're going through really difficult times, when we're feeling down, we're feeling sad, we're feeling depressed, we're feeling some kind of negative energy, it's so important for us to remember gratitude. It is hard to feel negative feelings and to feel down and to feel sad when you are feeling something positive, and gratitude is always positive. You can't be angry and say thank you for something. That's not gratitude. That's not being thankful. I'm sorry. Like, you can't begrudgingly do something and have it give off the right energy. You have to genuinely be grateful for it. So I challenge you to try this out. And when you're trying out new things, it's really important to try them out for a period of time. Don't just try them 1 or 2 days and be like, oh, that doesn't work for me. You have to try it out for a little while. You have to express that gratitude for a little while and really try it out for, how long does it take to make a habit? 21 days? I think it takes 1 day to make a habit. You have to make that choice every single day. You have to make the choice to choose something different for yourself. No matter how difficult it gets, no matter, how hard the uphill battle gets, if I had backed out of hiking to any of the summits that I've hiked to, I would have never reached them. I would have never reached the glory and the amazing feeling you get when you get to a summit. I had to make that choice at the beginning of the trail to persevere, no matter how hard it got. I wasn't going to share this, but I'm going to go ahead and share it with you because I feel like I need to. Many years ago, feels like many years ago, I hiked to the top of Kings Peak with my then boyfriend. And his plan was to propose to me at the top of Kings Peak in Utah in the United States. And the hike was challenging. It's the longest hike I've ever hiked. I believe it was 32 miles round trip, maybe longer. And we drove out there. It took us, several hours to get out there. We got there very early in the morning. We had to prepare for it. We prepared for it for, weeks, getting our backpacks loaded, figuring out what food we were going to take because, we hiked out there and then we stayed for a couple of days. So we had to hike all of our food in. We had to hike all of our water in. We weren't sure what options we were going to have. our clothes, everything that we had. It was my first, real overnight trip that we took. My first real overnight hiking trip, and it was amazing. But I really had to prepare for it. And then, I had to have the mental stamina to not give up. And I'm a pretty stubborn, pretty driven woman. When I get my mind set on something that I'm going to do it, I do it. No matter how long it takes me, I do it. I'm usually, anywhere from, 2 to a few hundred feet behind my husband or the group that I'm hiking with. I'm usually in the very back. And I really enjoy my time. I really soak in nature. I soak in my environment. I take lots of pictures of flowers and bugs and butterflies and bees and, the mountains and scenery. And I just really enjoy every moment of being outside and soaking in that environment and just breathing it in. And what does it smell like and what does it sound like? And I'm just so grateful every moment that I'm out there on the trail and I'm hiking, and I can hear the water before we even get there, and I can hear the wind slowly moving towards me closer through the trees as it approaches. And maybe I see other animals, maybe I see a rabbit hopping around, or a deer, off in the distance in the meadow. We've seen moose, drinking in a stream, off to the sides of the trail or in front of us on the trail. We've seen elk. Like, there's just so much wildlife. We've seen mountain lions. Well, not mountain lions. I'm sorry. Mountain goats. We've just seen so many different things out in nature. It's hard for me to not be grateful in nature. So we set off on this hike to the top of Kings Peak. So we hiked in on the first day, and we found camp, and we made camp. And the next day we were going to reach the summit. Well, Kings Peak is pretty high. The height doesn't matter at this time, but Kings Peak is the highest point in the state of Utah. And if you don't know anything about, elevation changes, there's such a thing as elevation sickness. And I'm one of those people that is very susceptible to getting, elevation sickness. And we were hiking, and I'm just so driven. Like, I was behind everybody, and I was just determined I was going to stay up with them. And I wasn't really taking care of myself. I wasn't stopping and taking breaks. I wasn't stopping and drinking. Like, I just was not taking care of myself. Like, I just felt so bad because we were hiking with some other people, and I just felt so bad that I was in the back. And, I got to the summit finally after, getting really, really sick and having to stop for about half an hour, just sitting on a rock. You get up to a certain level and it's just rock. Like, trees don't grow, plants don't grow, like, it's just rock. And I'm sitting there and I'm just thinking about, this journey. And the people that I was with just kept saying, well, we can turn around. It's okay. It's okay if we turn around. And there's this one person that was like, no, we're not. You're not turning around. You're going to take care of yourself, and you're going to summit. And I just remember feeling so grateful for that person to encourage me to keep going, because I was not willing to stop. And everybody was telling me, it's okay, like, you can just stay here, like, take care of yourself. And I'm like, no, I am going to the top. I'm going to make it to the top of this mountain. This mountain is not going to conquer me. That's the kind of person I am. Like, I just don't give up. And I finally made it to the top, and I was so grateful. And and I'm like feeling terrible and felt like I looked horrible, but I was just so grateful to finally make it to the top, because once you get to the top, you're just going to go back down, right? And my husband ended up proposing to me, and I was so excited, but I just felt crappy. But I was so grateful to be able to reach the top of that summit. And when things get really difficult for me, I often look at the mountains, and I recognize the difficulty that it requires to summit a mountain, to reach the top when you don't feel like going anymore, when you feel like all you want to do is stop, when your legs are hurting and you're hungry and you're tired. Sometimes I get headaches with elevation changes, so maybe a headache, or, it's been a long day and, I just want to get back down to the bottom. But there's just this drive inside of me that does not allow me to give up. It does not allow me to stop. And I just keep driving forward. And I feel like that's one of the characteristics that I have that also drives me to want to help others, which is why I've been posting all of these videos and really kind of journaling my experience. Last November 2022, it's now June 2023. I made a decision that I had had enough of my life, that I was going to change it no matter what. Like, I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I was going to change my life. Like, I was not going to continue to live, the life that I was living at that time. And I made a really strong decision that I was going to change my life. At the beginning of 2023 in January, January 1, I really decided, like, this is it. Like, here's my fresh start. I have to do something different. It's time for me to be different. I get to give this to myself. And I told my daughter, one of my New Year's resolutions is, how many people can I make smile? And I don't feel like I've done very great with that so far this year. There's still been a lot of really difficult times, but, I think about that often. How many people can I make smile today? How many people can I make smile that interact with me? And just all of the other little goals that I've set for myself this year, I have no idea how I'm going to reach them. But somehow things just keep coming into my life because I am determined to keep going and not give up. No matter how hard the day gets, no matter how hard the obstacles get, no matter how tough that mountain is, if I'm going to set foot at the base of that mountain, I'm going to reach the top. Like, I'm just one of those women that's just so determined that, I am not going to give up on myself. I've had so many people give up on me, so many people walk out of my life when things have been difficult. And honestly, I have had times in my life I have been so difficult. Rightfully so, those people have walked out because I have been so negative at certain times in my life. And I have felt really bad about that, felt bad that I've lost friendships or, pitied myself, loathed my behaviors, loathed who I am, looked on myself with disgust and embarrassment and discouragement and honestly hatred. And I have really had to learn how to love and accept myself. And it is sometimes a daily feat. Like, we are not taught in society to love ourselves. We are taught to fit in. We're taught to go with the latest fashions, the latest fads, the latest, attitude, the latest this, the latest that. We're not taught to be individual. We're not taught that it's okay to be ourselves. We're not taught even to like ourselves. We're taught that if we don't fit into a certain mold, then, shame on us for not fitting in with the rest of society. And that is not okay. I've really been working a lot on listening to not just motivation, but how have people reached, the places that they have in life with success, where they finally get to a point where they can really make a big impact on a lot of people. And many of these people did not fit the mold and refused to fit the mold. Maybe they don't even fit in with upper class. They are creating their own definition of what that means. And shouldn't we all define the definition of who we are and go after our purpose? If you've ever done something that you truly, deeply loved in your soul, whether it has cost money or not, think about how it makes you feel. It is such a great, wonderful feeling to have something that fills you, a purpose in life that drives you to be your best. that drives you to want to help other people. Now, today was not necessarily one of those days for me. It was for a little while this morning, but my attitude quickly turned sour for several hours, and I really got sucked into it, and I got sucked into thinking about anxiety and depression and some really, really sad moments in my life, both recent and in the past. And I really kind of started to berate myself. And every time I do that, I really start to get down on myself. I'm not helping anybody else. I'm not helping myself. If I'm helping myself, then maybe I can help, other people. But I really start getting down. And honestly, that really starts to snowball. How many of you out there have had that feeling before where you get that one or two negative thoughts, and then it's another, and then another, and then another, and then before you know it, it's been days, and you just feel so negative and so miserable. And I usually feel like a darkness just comes over me, and I just feel so horrible. And tonight, while I was kind of thinking, I got to get myself out of this feeling. Like, this feels so crappy. I had made dinner with my son, which was wonderful. It was nice to be able to make dinner with him. We talked about some different things, and we did the first part of my 3 maximizers. If you don't know what that is, drop a comment below, and I will tell you what those are. Shoot me a message. I'll tell you what my 3 maximizers are. But I made dinner with him. It was great, but I was just so drained at the end of dinner. Like, I didn't want to talk. My introvert coming out. I didn't want to talk. I just want to time by myself. And honestly, I'll probably finish this video and play the piano for a few minutes. But I went in my room, and I sat on my bed, and I just kind of laid there for a minute, and I'm like, I really need to say 3 things that I'm grateful for. I really need to focus on things that I'm grateful for, because I was not. And as soon as I started to think about the things I'm grateful for, I've got a comfortable bed, I've got my phone, I've got a car, I've got water. I just went on a beautiful hike, last weekend. Like, just so many wonderful things to be grateful for. My son is here for the summer. My daughter is with me. Even if I don't get along with her all the time, like, she's here. I can hug her and tell her I love her and stop being negative with her. Like, she does not deserve that. I don't deserve that. My family, my household doesn't deserve that negative energy from me. Like, we have so many things going on that we're preparing for over the next several months, and I do not have time to be negative. Have you ever thought about it that way? That you just don't have time to be negative? I only have time to be positive. Like, think about that for a minute. How has negativity impacted your life? At any time in your life, has it ever been helpful? Have you ever gotten a payoff out of being discouraged? Has being depressed or feeling anxiety ever been helpful? And myself included, like, it is so easy for me to just get grumpy and ornery and depressed and wallow in it. And I just don't ever feel good about it. Like, it doesn't ever make me want to go do anything that brings me happiness and joy. It just makes me feel worse. So there's your assignment. Those 3 things. Three gratitudes every single day. If you can do it before you even get out of bed, perfect. If you can do it, as soon as you get up and start moving around, perfect. You don't necessarily have to write them down, but writing them down does make a difference. So I'm going to leave that thought with you today. Please drop a note below. I share these videos on YouTube, Instagram, my Facebook page. Sometimes my Facebook page, Finding Faith in Jesus Christ. Most of the time I will share these videos on my Maximize Your Life page. So go there, join that page. I'm going to be coming out with a podcast soon that talks about these things as well. So please stay tuned. Please do not give up on yourself. Please try to do what you can to stay positive. That is going to be different for everybody. So find what works for you. These things may not work for you. They just may give you ideas, but find what works for you and then do it.